alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for such a generous introduction, and thank you to Dr. Musharraf for this very kind invitation. And thank you for sparing your very valuable time. See, you said sisters and sisters are here. So, thank you to Dr. Musharraf for this very kind introduction. Dr. Musharraf is one of my teachers. I have been one of his murids for many a decade now. I don't look that old, but I am one of his disciples. And actually, one of the reasons for talking about the Beacon Mosque idea is actually looking at this institution. I came here some time ago, and I've seen this institution develop, and especially the nursery that Dr. Musharraf has developed. Actually, I've been speaking about Dr. Musharraf's nurseries from Sydney to California. So Dr. Musharraf, his reputation goes beyond this beautiful city of Nottingham. So may Allah bless him, may Allah continue to put barakat in his work. And he's produced a wonderful, majestic Quran. And this majestic Quran, I just told him half an hour ago that he gave me a gift. And a person came from Cambridge University to see me, Hindu boy. And he said, look, I'm looking for a book that I can read and I can get close to Allah with. Guess what I gave him? Dr. Musharraf's majestic Quran. May Allah bring him closer to Islam, inshallah. Okay, inshallah. It is quite late, and I know tomorrow is a working day, and I'm going to just share some ideas with you, with you, provoke you, challenge you, and hopefully provoke a discussion. I don't want it to be just one way. I'm going to share some of my thoughts, and I'd like you to either challenge them, ask questions. I'm easy. So, this is a masjid in outer space. Do you think the Muslims will be having a mosque in outer space? What do you think? Inshallah. You know, there may be, it depends which planet you're talking about. Oh, don't talk about when the moon will be seen as well. So, it's a good question. It's a good question. Where is Qibla? So look, what Dr. Musharraf and I, we met last year. We met 2-3 times, and we met, I think, beginning of 2019 in Cardiff University to talk about strategic vision for imams. And then later on we met again, and then we met recently at a Twitter conference where I again provoked and challenged, where are we going? Where are we headed? What are the challenges for the Muslim community? And who is strategically thinking about where we should be heading? Okay, because the challenges that are befalling us are many and significant. Coming here this morning, I was in central London meeting some very senior officials regarding how to develop cities. And they were talking about, to me, what's happening in Delhi. Do you know what's happening in Delhi? Yes. Did you see the pictures yesterday of the mosques? They were trying to pull it off. And the question was, to me this morning, how are we going to protect your mosques in the UK? How are we going to protect your mosques in the UK? So, big questions are being asked, and they're looking for Muslims to give them the solutions. Okay, so mosques 2050, 30 years from now, building tomorrow's world. and the need to professionalize. These are the key areas I'm going to touch upon. At the beginning of this year, I wrote this document, Striving for Excellence, 30-Year Plan 2020 to 2050. And I'm going to touch upon what I've written there. If you want this document, I'll email it to you. Everything that I write, generally, I give it away for free as sadaqah. So if you want it, give me your email today and I will send it to you. So 2020, I've written this document. Why did I write it for 2020? Why did I write it for 2020? Anyone got an idea? I know you can't look into my mind, but if you can. Huh? Current situation, yes. Brexit, don't mention the B word.
Because it's an emergency and we're willing to address it right now.
Good answer. But something happened 100 years ago in the 1920s. What happened?
Ottoman Empire.
Yeah, the Ottoman Caliphate was disbanded 100 years ago. Did the Muslims 100 years ago think what is going to be the state of Muslims in 100 years' time? Do you think they thought? Because the Usmani Caliphate was actually dismantled by the Muslims themselves. It wasn't an external power. The Young Turks, as they were called at the time, after winning and defeated the invaders of Turkey, they said to them, look, we don't want this Islamic system. Get rid of it. But the Muslims who believed in it, were they thinking, what is our plan for the next 100 years? How are we going to revive? How are we going to survive? How are we going to, what does 100 years look like? Should we now be thinking what 2120 looks like? What do you think? Yes or no?
Yes.
Who thinks no? You think no. One says no. How many people say yes? Okay. So one brother is going to be the challenging one. Welcome. Welcome. So look, how long were the Muslims in Spain?
800 years.
Yeah, 800 years. Do you think that the Prophet had a vision 1400 years ago? 100%. In the Battle of Khandaq, did he give a vision of where the Muslims are going to be?
Yeah.
Where did he say?
Rome.
And which other city? There's two cities he talked about.
Yes.
Constantine. Which is the name of the city now? Istanbul. It's like the Washington DC of the time. And he mentioned it when he was in a trench. Okay? Always talking about future. Future intellectually, future beyond the grave, constantly talking about growth, future. Think. And even he said, if you hear the trumpet of the Day of Judgment and you're planting a tree, what did he say? Keep planting it. Constantly thinking about the future. So this document, what I've done is looking at three key areas that the Muslims need to think about if we're going to survive and thrive. Survive and thrive. So in India, are they trying to survive or thrive? Survive. Survive. It's a survival situation now. Literally within a matter of 5 years, situation is completely flipped. Look at the Rohingya. Survive or thrive? Survive. Survival mode. How can you, and was the Prophet in the trench, was he surviving or thriving? Surviving. Trying to survive. but he's thinking of a thriving future. So we need to think in a positive, thriving situation. So I've looked at this from I've developed something called the 3S model. 3S model. SSS. The 3S model is spirituality, sustainability, and safety. Okay? Can you see the screen, sister, at the back? Are you okay? You all right? So, what are the challenges? What are the challenges? And I'm going to reflect upon the 3 S's throughout the presentation. I'm going to, it's currently now just gone past 8 o'clock. I'm not going to speak for more than another 25 minutes. I'll keep it short. This is usually a day-long program, but I'm going to crunch it into 25 minutes. Okay, so it gives you plenty of time to ask questions. This Masajid, who are we leading? And for what purpose are we leading? It's a question to you. Who do we want to lead? And where are we leading them to? What is first? Huh?
That question for Dr.
No. See, look, Doc Saab, look, his brain is becoming weared out. You're making him think all the time. He needs you to think. First of all, what is your why? Why are you doing all this?
To inspire the next generation.
That's your why? Yeah. Inspire the next generation. Noble.
Keep our deen.
Keep your deen. Yeah. That's your why. What's your why, sir? Don't cross your arms. Don't be defensive.
Challenging on.
Yeah. What is your why?
To please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
मसलन उर्दू में कहते हैं आपका क्यों? What is your why? And then and who? Is it you? Is it your children? Or is it these people 100 years from now? Potentially. But if you're thinking about the people 100, 200, I say you need to think until the Day of Judgment. This is your investment. This is your investment for... Okay, so the question is, who are we leading? Because, this Masajid now, do you think any of you are going to be here in 100 years' time?
No.
Who thinks they're going to be 100 years' time? How old are you? He doesn't know. How old are you? 8. So do you think you're going to live till 108? You might. Depends on the medicine. I just saw a video yesterday of a 98-year-old man doing a marathon. Modern medicine.
120 is actually predicted.
120.
120 is quite reachable by next century.
Maybe.
So
Say inshallah.
You're going to be okay. Don't worry.
And he's only one here, so we pray that he.
Yani maybe look how old was Nuh alayhi salam.
950.
I mean, Allah has the power. Allah has the power. But just imagine we live according to current medicine. I don't think many of us are going to be here in another 100 years. But do we want this masjid to be here for another 100 years? We do. The masjids that are currently standing in the world today that were built more than, say, 1,000 years ago, those people had a plan. The people that didn't have a plan, those masjids are derelict, or they've been taken over, or they've been demolished. So what's your plan? How are you going to make this mosque survive until the Day of Judgment? That's my question to you. Because if this is your niyat, that Allah, I invested in this mosque for your sake, and I want the return of that investment until the Day of Judgment, you got to make sure that you sustain that investment now. Because if you don't sustain that investment, what's going to happen? You're not going to reap the reward. So it's like, you know, when you plant the seed in the ground, do you just leave it? Or do you water it and nurture it? What do you think?
Water and nurture.
Water and nurture it. And that's what you've got to do. You can't leave it all to Dr. Musharraf. You can't leave it all to him. Even though he is the oak tree. Everyone is shielding under the oak tree. But even oak trees, sometimes the leaves start falling off. We need to think now. Let me just quickly touch upon the challenges. So according to the data, there's going to be resources, scarcity, climate change. There's going to be rapid urbanization. Before we talk about urbanization, what does it mean by resource scarcity and climate change? What do you think that means? What do you think it could potentially mean?
In fossil fuel availability.
There's that. But to be honest, they're saying now there won't be no shortage of fossil fuel. People will not want to use fossil fuel. Why? Because it's dirty. So the resources, you know, if there's no jobs in the UK, will you have the resources to survive here? What do you think? Yes or no? Why did your parents come here?
Economic jobs.
What was the resources less or more from where they came from? No, resources were there might have been resource, but they felt this was more resourceful, so they moved. Okay, in this country, if the economic situation, will people stay or will people go? So apparently I was reading that, you know, since the Brexit discussion, how many Polish people, Ukrainian people have left? Gone in the millions.
Yeah, 1.5 million.
Poland's economy is doing better than the UK's economy. They're saying no point staying here. So all those extensions you were planning, you're going to have to find another person. Okay? Rapid urbanization. So this is a massive issue that economically, you know, if the situation gets tough in a country, people don't stay put, they move. That's a country. What about Nottingham? What's Nottingham's future? How does Nottingham compare to, say, Manchester? How do you compare to London? Who do you compare yourself with? Don't say Derby. That's not a comparison. Who do you...
London, we compare ourselves with London.
Chaddo, yeah. London? It's like comparing Liverpool and who's the bottom of the league? So look, this is who's thinking about the sustainability. If economically you can't afford to pay the bills, can this mosque stay alive? If you can't pay the electricity bill, the water bill, the gas bill, can you keep this place open? Just imagine the government says next month or 20 years, so they've already made a decision now that if your car is pumping out diesel after 2025, that car has to be taken off the road. And now you can't even take certain cars into London. Yeah? What if they say that your masjid is not environmentally friendly? We've checked and there's heat going out of the building. And these windows are not keeping in the heat. If you don't change that, you can't open your mosque. Can the government do that? Yeah, they can. They say you can't. When your car doesn't pass the MOT, what did they say? Or you take it to Haji Sahib down around the corner and they'll give you a certificate. But in reality, if you don't pass your MOT, what happens? You can't drive the car. Do you think they're going to have MOTs for buildings? They're planning. That's why we started a new project called ecomosque.com. Quickly, rapid urbanization, significant increase in world population moving to live in cities. How is that going to affect mosques? How do you think that's going to affect mosques?
It'll be crowded.
It'll be crowded. Will you be able to open mosques, new ones? It'll be difficult. And then if you want to expand, is it going to be easy? It won't be easy. So if your population grows, but the space is restricted, will people want to come to facilities that are cramped, are not easy to get to, are not comfortable? What do you think? Yes or no? No. Shift in global economic power, power shifting between developed and developing countries. How does that affect Muslims? Where is the shift of economic power now? China. And which is the second country? India. They're predicting in 2040 that the population of India will be bigger than China's. So India's population will supersede. I don't think it's a coincidence that the new chancellor is. So, Indian, economic power. With economic power comes what? Political power and influence. So influence is shifting. Influence is shifting. You can see what's happening in China. You can see what's happening in India. How many Muslim countries have challenged India and China? This is in your lifetime. This is in your lifetime. I'm not talking about 100 years on. In 2020, 25th of February 2020, there are riots in Delhi. In front of your eyes, military police are doing nothing to stop the destruction of mosques. And the world is, that's in your lifetime. The challenges are in front of you. Challenges, technological breakthroughs, rapid advances in technology innovation. Why is this important for you? Why is this important? Why is technology a challenge, an opportunity, but a challenge? This is probably even more significant than climate or economic.
Media.
Media is one.
You are not prepared for that.
You're not, definitely not prepared. Are Muslims developing this technology? We are the consumers. We are basically, we are the consumers. We believe everything that's on this phone. We are consumers. We're controlled by this. Do you think if I put, what's your name? Huh? Imran, can I ask you a question? If I show you this book and I show you this, which one do you want to take first?
That.
That one?
No, this.
He's been taught well. He's been taught well. He's been taught well. He's the only child, he's doing that because his teacher's watching him. 99% of the time when you put this in front of a child or an iPad in the Quran, which one do they take? 99%. He's been taught well. He knows he's not going to get home otherwise he... So look, this is going to be a challenge because what else is technology offering? What are the positives that technology is offering?
Networking, communication.
Network communication, yeah, but what is the critical? Instant what? Instant gratification, but instant something else. Instant information. If you've got instant information at your fingertips and the masjid is supposed to be a place of information, do you travel 10 miles to get there or do you want it on your phone? What do you think? On the phone. Who's going to come to the mosque for information? And then, just imagine you come into the mosque for information, but the Imam, can the Imam compete, can he compete or she compete with the database on here? What do you think now? 2020. Can't compete. I can look.
Excuse me, sir.
Gee,
What's the difference between information and knowledge?
that's another lecture.
Your Imam should have the knowledge. Sheikh Google's got the information.
So, okay. Let's have a look. So look, you know, like you can, so if I ask Google now, how far is London from Nottingham?
The drive from Nottingham to London is 127.8 miles.
0.8. So just imagine, if I ask Google, Google, I need a fiqh opinion on this talaq issue. Will Google provide that? It can. And now Dubai government, Emirati government has got virtual reality imams. Don't need a human being. Say, Imam, give me the Hanafi opinion on what I need to do on this matter. So you say, according to Imam Abu Hanifa, in this century, according to this book, he said this. That's today. What's it going to be like in 100 years' time? Now, there are concerts where people pay $50 a head to go and watch a person who died 50 years ago. That's reality. Who's heard of Tupac? You want to admit to that? You know, now there's concerts for, so this was a black rap star who was shot. You can go and watch him as if he's live, he's talking to you. $50, 25,000 people in a room.
Wow.
I can show you that video now. 25,000 people in a room, $50, watching him as if he's alive. All virtual reality. Do you think they're going to create a virtual reality imam? What do you think? As good looking as Dr. Musharraf? 100% it's going to happen. They're already developing it. They're already developing it. So within that context, how are you going to attract people to the Masajid? How are you going to bring people to, I'm impressed. This is impressive. MashaAllah, not a seat free. This is impressive. You've had to, who's walked here today? That's not bad. Do you live next door? Or who's walked more than a mile? 1, 2. No wonder you look so fit. Who's come by car? Most of you. Do you think that in 100 years' time, people will travel these distances by cars?
Flying car is already next year's coming in market.
Huh?
Flying cars next year's.
Flying car next year's market. Sisters predicted it. Yani, look, there's going to be a situation where there might be restrictions on movements of vehicles. So some people say, look, is it easier for me to come here to gain what I need to gain, or is it easier to? Question mark. Okay? Shifting demographics. What does shifting demographics mean? I mean, this I can talk to you for a long time. I've studied some of the predictive issues. You know, things that have moved in the past. You know, was smartphones around 7 years ago? Were apps on phones around 5 years ago? What did we do before apps? Can you remember? I mean, you might be able to remember, sir. But I mean,
Carry a brick.
huh?
Carry a brick.
Carry a brick. But Yani, look, you know, who's booked a flight using an agent? Chaudhry Sahib, kithe rehndhe ho? Who's booked a flight using apps? Yeah, most of you. This is significant. This is significant. And this is why I'm going to talk about why this is significant. Demographics. Currently, 60% of the Muslim population in the UK is what age?
Under 30.
Under 21.
That's greater than, by the way.
Huh?
Long time.
Do you think this group is in the next 5 years are going to have children? Probably, if they're lucky, if they can get married. Inshallah. And is that population going to double? Of course it's going to double. So the moment they're saying Muslims constitute nearly 1 million in London, in 10 years it'll go. This generation, who is it going to turn to for Islam? Who are these people going to turn to engage on Islam? Where are they going to go and learn about Islam? How well connected are they to this institution? What makes a young person like Imran? Imran, you're 8 years old. Can you tell me why you came to the mosque today? Wait, who's this teacher? I want to know his teacher.
They come to our Islamic school.
The question is, who is his father?
Well, I was going to come to that. Where's your dad?
His dad.
His dad's watching. You can see that his eyes on the back of his head. But can you see what they're looking at? So I was literally in Dubai on Wednesday. I was on a tube on the tram, and this child was younger than this child was screaming. I thought the child was dying. And then soon as the mother gave her instant, total silence. Who's doing the parenting? She is or this is? Just imagine you took this away from the child. If the child is controlled by this, do you think the child will be able to engage intellectually like you're sitting here now? What do you think? Yes or no? Very difficult. They can't console her, father and mother, but this can. What do you think the situation is going to be when she's 10, 11, 12, 15, 20? Big challenge.
Mine is 2.5 and since finished.
Really? 2.5. Allah maaf kare. I mean, and she knows at 2.5 what to do. They can find, they're moving their finger, and they know which program is good, which program is not good. They know how to play YouTube. Yeah? 2.5. So that 2.5, what connection and are you going to develop? Are you going to develop with this building? This 2.5-year-old now, how are you going to make that person love this building? Do you love this building? Yes or no? Yes. You love this building. I can see in your eyes you love this building. If you didn't love this building, you won't be here. Wallah. Somebody has put in your heart love for this building. How do you develop love in this person? For this building? And what this building represents. What does this building represent? Because you don't just love this building, this physical structure. You love what the values of this building are. True or not true? Yes. But somebody has put that, or you've developed it somehow. How do you develop it in this generation? Agree or disagree? How do you develop? That's the key question. How do you develop this feeling of love in these people's hearts? It's a big question. What is the future mosque going to look like to attract this type of person? These type of people, where do they go for entertainment? Do they come to the mosque or do they go elsewhere? Friends.
No, phones.
Their phones. So when they go inside their phone, how big is that world?
Massive. It's virtual.
Limitless. Limitless world. What's the extent of this mosque's world currently? 4 walls. But are these people physically moving, or are they mentally moving when they go in that world? Mentally. In this place, how far do you go mentally? Dr. Musharraf is laughing. Where are you intellectually taking your people in this world? The 4 mosques. This is amazing. Look, there are people playing badminton. Brilliant. Subhanallah. They can see Allah's name and they're playing badminton. Unique institution. MashaAllah. Say MashaAllah. How do you take this mindset? Look, this girl is standing physically still, but where do you think she is? In her mind. Huh? Yeah. But you know when the Prophet, peace be upon him, you know when he used to speak about Jannah, he used to take people to another world. People will think, oh, I need that. I want that. I'm willing to sacrifice anything. How far are our spiritual leaders, our institutions, which world are we taking them, our next generation to? Where are we taking them? Because these people, do you think these people are busy people? Yes or no? Are these people busy or not busy? Very busy. Children saying, I haven't got time. Mama, I haven't got time, I can't do it. I need to check my diary. What? These people saying, Mama, I haven't got time. Because why? Because so many people are competing for their time. These people, people say, oh, they don't come to our mosque. You ask them, why don't you come? You know one of the reasons why? What does it say? I've got nothing to do, but I've got no time. Because there's so many people competing for their time. They're very busy people. Kids are very busy. Schoolwork, homework, this program, this party, this phone call, this game they need to play. They're booking times to play games. Have you seen these games where you go on? I don't play those games, but I've been reading about them.
Virtual game, then they make the virtual games.
Yes?
Go in and then you have time, make the appointment.
Yeah. They're booking times. And they're going into war games where there's 100,000 people fighting at the same time. Online. You can go on YouTube and you can see these virtual war games, 100,000 people from around the world. You know, people we might rush for Salah. The game is saying, Hayya la Salah, come. And the kids are in the bedroom in total silence. Mum, father saying, MashaAllah, sukoon mil gaya. But what's he doing in the bedroom? Gaming. How are you going to bring those people to this space? Big challenge. Big challenge. What are we making these places look like? When these people go to school, are their school environments nice, positive, colourful, or are they dark, plain, uncolourful spaces? Which ones? Colourful, engaging, exciting. And this on the screen, how often do you think the things are moving on the screen? They're flickering all the time. Constant attention, constant endorphins. How are you competing with this? Big question. So what are mosques looking like? What are mosques going to be designed like? Are they going to be exciting places, interesting places, engaging places, light places, places of excitement, fun, intellectual inspiration, emotional inspiration, places of kindness, places of love, places that are unique, they can't get anywhere else. That's what you need to start to develop. Things that they can't find in here. But to find things that are not in there, you've got to think in a different way. these are some of the areas that we talk about professionalization and who should be involved. These are 9 areas that you need to start thinking about. What is your madrasa? What are you teaching in your madrasa? What is your 21st century madrasa? Is it teaching Islam as information? Or is it teaching Islam to develop an Islamic personality that can survive for the next 100 years? Totally 2 different things. How do you develop a human being that can survive in that environment and demonstrate a unique personality? How do you get somebody that's 39 years old and last week became a Chancellor of the Exchequer? 39, Sunak. He's been to a madrasa. He's been to a madrasa for past 32 years. And that madrasa is called Oxford, Cambridge, Rugby, Eton, Harrow, Chester House. Those are madrasas based on the models of Andalus. That's where they've taken their people. Where's our madrasa taking people? What type of intelligent, creative, persuasive, imaginative, beautiful people are we creating? That someone says, I like this guy, I want my daughter to marry him, and he's married the richest man in India's daughter. Where did that happen? How did they find that rishta? It wasn't on singlemuslim.com or singleindian.com. I'm sure it was. Yani this is a madrasa developed human being. Yes, please do.
The Chancellor Bright was Muslim.
Where did he end up?
Well, he went to your madrasas.
He went to a madrasa definitely, but he didn't go to the elite one. I think he studied at Exeter. Check what rating Exeter is against Oxford. What did he study at Oxford? That's another significant. Do you know what Sunak studied at Oxford? PPE, exactly. What's your good name, sir? Sajid. Sajid's been reading the biography. So PPE is a course specifically designed to rule the world, designed by colonialists, designed specifically to become part of the ruling elite, groomed for power. Groomed. What is your grooming strategy to develop elite Muslim, young, dynamic personalities? This chap is dynamic, I like him. MashaAllah. I like you. I've got something in my bag for you, so stay there. Community development. What's the reach of this mosque outside of this 4 walls? Can you measure your reach? How far does your influence reach? How deep does your influence reach? Dr. Musharraf, very well connected, well known. Tomorrow, Qatar says, Dr. Musharraf, leave Nottingham. Got plum job for you in Doha. Don't leave these people. Huh?
It's not about the job.
Yeah, of course, it's about the money. So just imagine Dr. Musharraf, they convince him to become the Amir advisor. He says to you, give me 5 years. Dr. Musharraf leaves. Trust me, he's going to leave. Where is the next Dr. Musharraf in this building? Oi. Huh?
Sitting in the same row.
It's a question you've got to ask. Because his influence is deep. His influence is deep. But you can't rely on just one person. You've got to think now, how do I develop a deep relationship from an institutional perspective? That not just 40 doors to the left, 40 doors to the right is for individuals. Institution, it should be 400 doors to the right, 400 doors to the left, 4,000 doors to the... Now in the social media world, it should be 400 miles, 4,000 miles if you're going to survive. So these are just, like things that you need to think about: financing, staffing and employment, facilities management, policies, procedures, structure and management and governance styles, communication, accountability. All these 9 areas need to be optimized for survival mode. Okay? And those, obviously, each one of them is a lecture in itself, but I just wanted to quickly touch upon key areas that you need to think about. And these are the people that you need to be thinking about this, to be able to make sure that the masjid is going to survive and thrive. 1, access to information, relevant knowledge, so like you were saying, information and knowledge. You're on the right page. What do I mean by relevant knowledge? What do I mean by relevant knowledge? Huh? Kind of, but a bit more than that. Relevant knowledge. Why is relevant knowledge important?
Up to date with the
So, sister, what are you saying?
up to date, like these days, what is the need of these days?
So one is to say to maintain your existence, you got to be at least on the curve. Yeah? But if you want to survive and thrive, you got to be ahead of the curve. When Islam was at the height of its power, was it on the curve or ahead of the curve, or establishing its own curve? Well ahead. The scholars of their time, the leaders of their time, were thinking beyond the curve, because normal people at this level, if you're going to lead, your institution is going to lead, you've got to be able to see that way. So these people, when they walk in that direction, you've given them that direction because you're standing on the top of the wave. So you can see. But if the imam is down below the curve, where are these people going to go? Are they going to ask him or her? Because they've got the phone. Imam gives the khutbah and starts talking about something. The moon is not going to be visible tomorrow. Everyone's looking at him saying, "Hey, kira pagal hai yaar." I've just seen the observatory data. It's quite clear the moon will be born on the earth. Everyone knows, but they out of respect they're saying, well, let him think that.
But maybe 1 or 2 generations going to respect. The third ones, you don't need even.
Huh?
The third one comes.
No, the reason why, shall I tell you the reason I say this? Because I met some imams from California. and brothers who work. So there's a place in California called Silicon Valley, right? And in Silicon Valley, you have people like Facebook, you have Google, you have Twitter, you have Oracle, you have SAP, you have Uber. The world's greatest minds come to this valley. The world's greatest minds come and work for this come. So do you think the imam that gives khutbah in this area, some of the people sitting in the audience know the next sentence before he's spoken about it? Do you think his credibility, if he makes a mistake, goes up or go down? To compete with that type of audience, you need to be ahead of the curve. And the problem is that these are brains obviously now, but then what you're going to have is young people, during the khutbah, they're going to be doing Google searches. Imam just said that. Oh, Google said you're wrong. Do we ask children, who is the most trusted person that you know in your life? Guess what they said? Google. Google is most trusted. But who's feeding Google? Who's feeding Google? Big question. So, relevant information, relevant knowledge. And these places are fundamentally about spiritual. How do you develop, what's 21st century spiritual life look like? When we say to children, become closer to Allah, what does that look like? When we say love Rasul, what does that look like? When we say that loving Allah, believing in Allah, living a Allah-centric life in a secular world, what does that look like? Because what did they say in English? Seeing is believing. If they can't see it, they can't touch it, they can't smell it, it's just one of those virtual realities. How do you make it a reality? Sustainability from a human perspective, financial perspective, and environmental perspective. This is a unique institution. You have a nursery here, one of the best nurseries in Nottingham. Sheikh was saying to me, nearly 80, 90, 100 people are employed in this fantastic institution. It's a very, very strong, sustainable model. Brilliant. Masajids at the moment, they need to be thinking sustainability from a financial perspective, developing waqfs that are going to sustain them after they're gone, developing human beings that can make those intellectual leaps, and looking at the environment. Thirdly, how do you navigate the next political shift? You just got a new government. This government's going to be around for
10 years.
definitely. Minimum 5, could be 10, could be 15. What's your stake in this power structure? How much influence do you have sitting here in Nottingham?
You don't have much influence with the Tories.
Have you got any influence in Nottingham?
Yeah, we've got some influence in Nottingham.
Any councillors here? Sajid, I won't ask which political party you're from.
It's a one-party state, not
So we need to look at the political security, and we need to look at the space. Quickly, my last 2 slides, because I'd like you to ask questions. This is a list of what this is the World Economic Forum, where leaders meet. So these were some of the skills that they said leaders need in 2015. This is the skills they said are needed in 2020. A complex problem-solving mind. Critical thinking. Creativity. Good people management skills. Being able to coordinate, work with other people. Emotional intelligence. Judgment and decision making skills, service khidmat orientated, a good negotiator, and have the cognitive flexibility to juggle multiple tasks. How many of you here have got at least 5 of those? Brother, hand went up straight away. Confident. Out of those 10, how many do you think you've got, sir? Don't be shy.
7.
MashaAllah. How can I measure those?
Well, I've achieved what I'm at the moment, so
What can I ask you what you do in your day life?
I am a doctor.
Really? What type of doctor?
Well, I'm a manager doctor.
A manager doctor. What's one of those?
Cost a lot.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Manage the medical division in King's Medical Center.
MashaAllah, you manage the medical division. So you have medical practitioners of different, so nurses, doctors, everyone. And how big is the team?
Well, I manage over 100 consultants.
Fantastic. That's really good. Brilliant. And my wife's a doctor. And I can't manage one. So, no, Yanni, my wife is a wonderful human being. I can only come here because of my wife. I know, that's why I looked at the camera straight away. So, Yanni, look, I'm happy you were confident in that. I'm happy you were confident. Because look, the NHS is one of the most wonderful institutions on this planet. And the way it's run is a miracle. It is a miracle. It's a miracle from Allah, this institution. So, do you recognize some of those skills needed to run an institution that's going to thrive?
I think those skills that you mentioned, and I can point out to the ones that I don't have, because I know that I don't.
Be brave and tell us.
Yeah. Well, the emotional intelligence.
Gee, Pakistanis don't have much of that.
You can't learn that.
Huh?
You can't learn it.
Acha.
You can't learn emotional intelligence. You need to know your team so well to understand their emotional states.
Do you think the Prophet was emotionally intelligent?
Yeah, of course he's gifted.
Amazing. Amazing. He could read the eyes, he could read the heart, he could read the forehead, he could read everything. Amazing. But you're right, emotional intelligence, hard to learn. It's an innate nature. But doctors are some of the best people that can judge, GP especially.
I don't feel that I have the skill.
Okay, so that's why you went into management. But thank you for your honesty, I appreciate that. But can you see, look, that's 2020. For 2025, 2030, 2050, that skill set is going to change. Okay? Our madrasa, our congregation, how are we nurturing them to have those skills? Because to run the mosque is one thing, but to be creative and persuasive and be dynamic in society as Muslims should be, the Masajid has a role in playing in developing those skills. Okay? So just finally, skills. So one of the topics on the title was professionalizing. So just some quick ones. Ability to concentrate and focus deeply. Ability to be a public problem solver. So most mosque leaders I talk to, they say we're constantly dealing with our own internal problems. That's the least of your problems. You should be looking at what the problems are in society and how is my masajid going to resolve those problems. If you can resolve people's problems, how successful this institution will be. What do you think? Very successful. Because the world's businesses work on what principle? Solving people's problems. You can solve problems, you're a winner. If the masjid is a source of solving people's problems, providing solutions, wallahi there'll be queues out of the building. We need you. We don't want you to go. You are really helping us out. You're giving us advice, you're giving us solutions, you're giving us ideas that we could never imagine. I don't care what religion you are. We need you. Understanding horizons, trends analysis, strategic foresight, adaptive mindset, not stuck mindset, adaptive mindset. The Prophet was in Mecca. He went hundreds of miles and went to Medina. Was his mindset shifted? No. It was. He adapted. He was a city dweller. This was an agricultural place. He asked questions. He said, why are you doing this with the date tree? Remember the people pollinating the date tree. He said, what's that? And they thought, oh, the Prophet was asking a negative question. He said, when the date crop failed, he said, why did it fail? He said, oh, you asked that question, we thought you were angry. He said, no, I asked because I didn't know why you were doing it, because I've never done it in Mecca. Okay? Adaptive mindset, critical thinking, understanding noise, understanding signals. What are the current signals in Nottingham? I just came, Dr. Musharraf took me to a launch, and the sister who was at the launch, she was saying that she came up to me and she apparently knew me, and I asked her what you're doing, and she said, I'm providing lunch packs for Muslim old people who have got no food. I said, those people exist? She said, yeah, lots of them. Old people, Muslim, going hungry at home. So here's a woman who's seen a problem and providing a solution. And in the audience, a consultant came, a woman consultant. She said, she only told me this morning about this event, and she came. I thought to myself, this consultant doesn't get out of bed for anything. She came because she valued this project. She's offering a solution. And I think she's a worshipper at this mosque. So these are some of the things that you need to think about. You need to start getting professional. You need to start accessing resources that don't exist here. There are Muslims living in Nottingham and surrounding Nottingham that may not come here because you're not plugging them in. You need to plug them in so you can access their capabilities. Which touch points do you have in this mosque? At the moment, I see 4 touch points. Jummah, Eid, Janazah, and maybe badminton. Nursery. Radio. Which of the touch points do you have?
We do a lot of interfaith work, so we get a lot of people coming from outside.
Muslim touch points.
Study circles.
So this is fantastic. I mean, this is a touch point.
I just mentioned the Karimia within Nottingham is quite forward thinking. If you compare to average mosque,
Yeah.
they're 4 different worlds.
See, look, you're having this conversation. You know, you kindly invited me. I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He gave me the courage and the capability to get here. And I'm amongst friends here. But you know the masjid down the road, that after Isha prayer, 20 minutes, what happened to the door?
It's a different mindset though, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's not just in Nottingham, it's across the, I mean, you've got places, but it's across
It's around the world. The thing is that what you've got to do is that you're an exemplar. The Sahabi were exemplars. The Prophet was an exemplar. We follow in their footsteps. How can you get other mosques to follow you in your footsteps?
Change the committees.
Yeah, right. If you're allowed to inside, now you can change the committee.
And the religion is so narrow.
So look, let's go into questions. Let's go into questions. What's the next step? So you've asked a question, sir, a good question, that you're forward thinking, relatively speaking, compared to. But how far do you think you are?
You want to start a question session?
Yeah, let's do
Okay,
it.
let me just say.
Do you find that useful?
Listen,